your kids are watching you. They're learning what's possible from you. So the question is, are you showing them the version of yourself that you'd want them to model? Remember, failure was part of the objective of entering the gym this morning. Are there things in your business that are worse off for having you involved in them?
How can I use my business as a way to be there for my family more?
Those outputs can only be reined in and intentionally developed or directed by managing the inputs.
Forced us eventually to take over 2 years of our life to dig out of just to get to zero.
You don't have the things from the places you haven't gone to. Treat yourself like someone you are responsible for helping.
The flies come for the poo, right? There's a push-pull effect with all of your marketing, and it needs to be pushing away the customers that are not a good fit and drawing in the ones that are.
Hey, welcome to all of you, bandits and chilies. This episode is called Your Kids Are Watching You. Right off the bat today with a quote from Robert Fulghum: "Don't worry that children never listen to you, worry that they are always watching you." This really strikes at our own authenticity. It can't be, do as I say, not as I do. And yet, I'm sure that I'm not the only one who has found myself making decisions that I would hope that my kids wouldn't make in that same situation. Kids are a powerful mirror. Sometimes they say things that show what they have really learnt from watching you, and that isn't always flattering. What I've been thinking about lately though, and what is really the inspiration behind this episode, is the other times when they don't say anything. Maybe they aren't even around to see anything. But really, we should be acting with alignment, right? At the end of the day, we can't conceal our true selves from our family. And if we want our kids to be brave and honest and to follow their dreams, then we cannot compromise that in our own lives and businesses. We need to model it for them. There's some weird double standards in our collective cultural psyche, and I think that one of them is that it is normal to want nice things for other people at a higher level than for yourself. I'll just stick with kids since that's the topic, but I see this double standard often applied to other people, even complete strangers. For example, you want your kids to eat healthier and take better care of their bodies than you do. You want your kids to be more moderate with their screen time than you are. You want your kids to bravely face conflict with integrity and to do the right thing even when it's really hard or even when no one is watching. And yet, for ourselves, we might find it easier to hide away from the thing that we are scared of doing and use screens or junk food as a coping mechanism to aid us in doing so. It becomes a cocktail of misalignment. I found a study to reference on this topic as it reminded me of another topic, and it's from the Journal of Veterinary Cardiology. They published an evaluation of owner medication adherence for canine cardiovascular disease in the referral setting. So bear with me. This study found that medication adherence in this study was high, with 82.3% reporting that their pet never missed cardiac medications, and only one pet owner from the sample group failed to meet the criteria of medication adherence, which was defined as administering at least 80% of recommended medications. In humans with chronic illness, approximately 50% of patients do not take medications as recommended by their physician. This is what I mean about that double standard in our cultural psyche. People are much more likely to correctly medicate their pets than themselves, even for serious conditions. Jordan Peterson talks about this in his book, 12 Rules for Life, and specifically therein cites those undergoing kidney dialysis. Many kidney transplant patients have undergone years of grueling dialysis, which involves passing their blood out with mechanical aid multiple times a week, often for many hours per session, which is an incredibly draining and unpleasant experience. Then, even after receiving a transplanted kidney, which is a life-saving, high-risk procedure that often occurs only after a significant period of waiting, and it's expensive, and it involves either the death of a donor or a second surgery, most likely on a family member, to gift them a kidney. After all of that, some patients still fail to take the necessary anti-rejection medication consistently. Not taking that anti-rejection medication could result in the body, rejecting the newly donated organ, and would put the patient through further discomfort and medical procedures which, if they survive, will land them back on regular dialysis. So, back to kids. We know, at least on some level we know, that lecturing them doesn't really work that well, especially at the ages that my kids currently are, like 5 and under. I still do it, but I know that it's not the most effective way to reach them. Yet what is the most effective way is modeling, which is really taking our own medicine, doing the thing that we would wish for them to do, acting with bravery and integrity and taking care of ourselves and others and so on. And look, they don't always follow that modeling either, at least not straight away. I mean, I don't stand on books that are on the floor or leave the door open when I head to the backyard or not eat my dinner. I certainly don't do that one. But that doesn't stop them from doing those things. Kids are kids. Gotta love them. They don't come with instructions. But I've really been thinking about this idea that your kids are watching you. And I think this is a really great reframe to live by and to call myself out on things. If my son or daughter was in this situation, what advice would I give them? Not just like my 5-year-old son or my 3-year-old daughter, but when they are 18 or 27 or 45, how would I want them to be handling stuff like this life stuff? What would be in their best interests? I'm calling this the shadow mirror effect, because for me, it's like the mirror that kids hold up to you, but even when they cannot directly see it. They're not there to witness that specific event. But kids aren't stupid. They can pick up on misalignment and hypocrisy even if it isn't right in front of them. They're like bloodhounds for this stuff. They just sniff it out. This idea of the shadow mirror effect helps me to recalibrate and assess my decision making and my actions through the lens of, if I was the person who I loved more than life itself, how would I will myself to behave? This also, I think, touches on that cultural double standard. We all kind of know that we need to love ourselves, right? But then we're also conscious of not loving ourselves too much, yeah? You don't want to be that guy. He loves himself. I think that to actually love yourself in any true sense would mean caring for your flourishing, acting in ways that protect, nurture, and dignify your own life. That's healthy, and that's what we should want to foster. That is how we should best set the model for our children, because they will follow what we do more than they will listen to what we say. Since we love them and want the best for them, that has to start with loving ourselves. When someone uses that comment as a negative, like, ugh, he loves himself, what they are really describing isn't love at all. It might be arrogance or self-centeredness, vanity or narcissism, but it isn't love. And words matter. We should root that out from our cultural psyche, and if that phrasing is in your head, then you should be more specific. The problem isn't that a person loves themselves. How could it be? Thomas Aquinas said that to love is to will the good of the other. C.S. Lewis expanded on this idea by saying, real love is desiring the good of the beloved for their own sake. So if you apply that to yourself as well as to others, and you desire the good of yourself for your own sake, not at the expense of anyone, not pushing someone else down to raise yourself up, but just actually treating yourself with the same kind of love that you would like to see your children treat themselves with, then in what way could you possibly show too much love? When people complain that someone loves themselves too much, what they're describing might be those things that I just mentioned, arrogance, vanity, or self-absorption. And those are opposites of love, not expressions of it. But if we aren't specific in the words that we use, we can fall into some of these cultural double standards and end up not loving ourselves in the way that we would will our children to. And then, since they model what we do over what we say, we are effectively imposing that upon them and working counter to our own stated love for them by loving ourselves insufficiently. Not to sound like I love myself or anything. See what I did there? Look, I shouldn't even make that joke because it kind of undermines the entire point, but not to sound like I'm arrogant or self-centered. But that line was really good, so I'm going to repeat it. By not being specific in our words and falling into that cultural double standard, we end up not loving ourselves enough, and by modeling that, we effectively impose that same lack of love upon our children, which is counter to our stated love for them. Don't be stingy in your love for others, and don't love yourself insufficiently. This all ties back to that authenticity that I mentioned, and authenticity is contagious. When you make choices in alignment with your values, your kids learn integrity without a lecture. They not only model what you do, but they see why you do it. And when you do the hard things and you let them see the struggle of doing those hard things, it demonstrates real, tangible courage. Not just the courage of fairy tales with knights fighting dragons, but the day-to-day courage of a difficult conversation, or apologizing when you were wrong, or acting with integrity even when you haven't been treated fairly yourself. And courage compounds. Every time you choose bravery, whether in business or at home, wherever you are, you're showing your kids how to face fear. And you build that habit, you build that muscle of courage, and it becomes more normal, and your baseline threshold for courage increases. This makes it easier for your kids to follow that example because they see both the struggle and the reward, as well as how all of that integrity and alignment of values breathes through and benefits every part of your life and your family. All of these things, they overlap so much. For example, courage could be the courage to say no, to set boundaries, to turn down opportunities in favor of focus, or to demonstrate that you prioritize your family over other demands on your time. That doesn't always look like the same thing. Sometimes prioritizing the family does mean time apart and at work. Your business is in support of your family. That's its whole purpose. That's the whole point. But sometimes it means holding the line on boundaries that you have set to ensure that you are there for your family in ways that you have promised to be. A lot of people are growing their business with legacy in mind, something to pass on to their kids, to change their family tree, to provide generational wealth and opportunities that had not been given to them. That's great. But the real legacy there isn't money, it's modeling. I saw this quote from Dan Martell and I couldn't find another attribution for it, so look, it might be his, I don't know, but it sounds older. In any case, it's a great quote. The person who starts the journey can't finish it. So that and the idea of legacy being more about modeling than money, the habits, the growth that happens along the way, the obstacles that are overcome and the person that you are as you overcome them, that legacy that your kids will model is way more important than your net profit this year. So just remember, your kids are watching you. They're learning what's possible from you. So the question is, are you showing them the version of yourself that you'd want them to model? If you're feeling like there's a gap, some misalignment, you're falling short, just remember to also show yourself the same grace that you would like to show your kids. You're not perfect. If you'd like to have a judgment-free chat about this and get some clarity on the next 3 moves to make in your business, book a free clarity call with me, link in the description. That's it. Have an awesome day. Make someone else's day awesome. I love you just the appropriate amount, like take whatever is weird and then take a healthy step backwards from that line. That's exactly how much. If it's weird, you're the weirdo. Catch ya. Bye.
Hey, you're a family-oriented business grower. You should join our free group for family-oriented business growers. It's like the perfect place for someone your size and shape. Join via warplan.au, link in the description, and whilst you're there you can book a free clarity call with me to help identify the next 3 dominoes you need to knock over in your business.